What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tsla, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm also going to break down what's happening with the overall market moving forward, but just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. The offer ends very soon in just 2 weeks, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. So right now, the market's doing a good job at holding up, looking more bullish. But the question is, what's going to happen when our data comes out? So I want to talk about that first before I break down these charts. Today is Friday the 13th, 2024 for September. What's very important about this is that 30 minutes after the market ends up opening at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment data, the 5-year inflationary expectations reports, and the current conditions report, and all this data coming out. So we'll see what this looks like. I do anticipate some volatility once it comes out. We'll see if this leads the market to pushing or dumping. We'll see what the move is if this does cause anything that's significant. So I'll be watching this very, very carefully. When it comes to other factors, I just want to mention that the market thinks there's a 55% chance we get a 25 basis point cut and a 45% chance we get a 50 basis point cut. So we will see how things end up going. But I just want to make it very, very clear that we'll be watching to see how this shifts. Right now for SPY, we basically have over 300,000 calls expiring today and over 1.1 million puts. We have a 3.59 puts to call ratio, and so far the market is squeezing as a result of this. So the majority positions are in puts. People are shorting the market, and there's more than 3 puts for every call expiring today. That's part of why the market makers are squeezing short. So we'll see if the trend continues. The market's continuing to push. That's what's making a lot of headlines. Besides that, Adobe announced its earnings, and if anything, they ended up not doing as well for the fact that their guidance for Q4 was a little bit short, despite the fact that they beat on EPS and revenue. So weak guidance made the share price drop over 8% yesterday. Besides that, I didn't see anything else that was too significant on the news. For Tesla, I just want to say that unfortunately, their expectations from many analysts, especially like Guggenheim and a few others, weren't as strong. That's for the next deliveries reports. It wasn't as strong as before, so they've kind of reduced their expectations. That's part of why Tesla's a little bit weaker right now this morning, so we'll see if that shifts or not. Just want to give you guys a heads up about that. Anyways, we have 560 as our main support for SPY. If we could hold above this, we have the potential to push up to 561, which is where we have this imbalance. Then 562.5 is the next target above that. And if that breaks, we're likely going to the all-time high. If SPY loses 560, the main support I'd be looking at is basically 558. That's where we tried to hold during the after hours yesterday. And if that breaks, we have potential to dip all the way down to the 556 to 555 area, followed by 553. Now, the 4-hour time frame does look bullish as we're making higher highs and higher lows. So I see upside potential in SPY right now. Now, we have data coming out at 10 o'clock a.m., so we'll see if we maintain this structure with that data coming out. But as of right now in the pre-market, we look more bullish, trying to hold above 560. As long as that holds, we do favor the upside direction. Just wanted to call that out. For ES, we look a little bit more bullish. If we were to lose 5,600, we could be tipping down to 5,580. If we start breaking out, we're looking for 5,630, followed by 5,650. This looks more bullish. There's a good time this tries to push higher. But in my personal opinion, I think that there is upside potential on ES nonetheless. But in my opinion, ES could try to push higher as long as you hold up a 5,600 for the 5,630 area. We'll see if the support holds. We look more bullish for the time being. I do see resistance getting tougher on this, but there is potential upside that's still coming looking at the chart as long as we could hold above this key level. So I'll be watching these levels. We'll see if we hold after the data comes out, what it looks like. But so far, we are looking more bullish. For Nvda, I said yesterday this might dip a little bit in the morning. So far, this is dipping a little bit. We have 118 as our key support. If that doesn't hold, I'll be looking for basically 116.8 followed by 115. Then we also have resistance at 120. It's possible we dip a little bit closer to 118. We'll see if that holds, maybe a little bit lower before we try to rebound back up to 120. So we'll see if that holds or not. So watch for that very carefully. For Bitcoin, a resistance at this 59,000 area, and we have this support to watch for around 57,400, followed by 57,000 flat. We're stuck in the middle, going back and forth and back and forth. We will see if we try to bounce off Bitcoin or not, as we're just completely stuck in the middle. I just want to say that right now Bitcoin is dipping a bit, and I think we could be testing these EMAs. So we could drop to the lower 57,000 area before we attempt to bounce. So watch for that. As far as Tesla goes, we are kind of flat right now. We have support at 228. If that fails us, we could be dipping back down closer to 225. We have resistance at 230. Tesla's been struggling to break out because of this negative news that came in the morning about how their expectations for their deliveries report is a little bit lower than before. So not the best of news. Tesla could attempt to get up to 230, but it's a tough resistance. And we have 235 above that is the next really tough resistance. If we don't crack that, if we don't crack 230, we could be dipping back down to 228 or below, followed by 225 and then 222. So there is a risk of Tesla dipping lower if we can't hold above 228. I wanted to give you guys a heads up about that. It's a little bit weaker after this negative news came out. NQ has 19,500 as resistance. If we break this, we could be looking for 19,700. If we don't break this, we could be dipping back down to about 19,250. We're just kind of shuffling up here. So we'll see what the reactions once we get the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report. Same thing with the QQQ. We're just stuck at 473 shopping in the pre-market session. It's very indecisive right now. So if we are bullish after the data comes out, we're looking for this to go up to 475 and eventually try to break that. If that breaks, we're going to like 477 plus. If we reject it, we could be dipping all the way down closer to 470. If not, 466. So we're kind of in the middle right now. We'll have to see how things end up going. It is possible the QQQ does dip a little bit. Then we'll see if we bounce. But I just want to say that, we're still on an uptrend. The uptrend is still present. This is not necessarily rejecting. It could just dip a bit before it tries to continue to go higher. But we'll have to see what the reaction is once our data is released. For Apple, we look more bullish. If we could hold above 224, we're looking for 226 as potential targets. If we lose this, we could be dipping to 222, but overall it looks more bullish. But it's doing a good job, so we'll give this the time it needs. For the IWM, we look more bullish. If we could try to hold above 214, we're looking for basically the resistance at this 215 area, followed by 216.5. If we end up losing support at if we reject off 214, we're looking for basically 212 as our main support zone. If that fails us, we're going to be dipping even lower. But nonetheless, this looks more bullish to me. It looks like it could push even higher. For AMD, if this gap to fill below it is possibly tipped down to about 115, then we'll see if we bounce or not off of that. I do see potential for a little decline right here to come back down to fill that gap. And we'll see if we bounce off 150 to continue higher to 155. If 150 fails us, we're going back down to 148. If we hit 115 bounce, we could be looking for 154. It really depends on what the reaction is once the data is released. Coinbase looks more bullish. If we could hold above 160, we're going to be looking for a continuation higher to 165. If we dip, look for 160 as our main support. If that fails, we will be dipping. But overall, it's doing a good job at holding up. For Amazon, we had 188 as the key resistance. Our support's at 186. We need to break past 188 to push for 190. If we end up losing that, we could be dipping. This is a nice looking accumulation structure right here. It does have more upside potential, but for now we are going to likely dip a little bit on Amazon as long as we hold above 186, if not 184 in this zone right over here. We could still try to rebound, but I think it could dip just a little bit for now before it tries to see a bigger move. Meta's dipping a little bit. We're looking at support at 520. If 520 is not holds, we could be dipping to 514. We'll see if we bounce off that or not, but I do see potential for this to dip a little bit. For Microsoft, we could just consolidate. We have 425 as support and 428 as resistance. If 425 fails us, we'll be dipping back down towards 422. But overall, we're just stuck within a range. Google's also looking at this resistance around 157. If we break that, we turn bullish. We start pushing for the 158s, and if we reject it, we could be dipping back down to 155. We're kind of stuck in between. We'll see if we dip or not, but this is going to be a tough resistance, so give this the time it needs. With that being said, just want to say I appreciate you guys so much for listening. I will see you guys in a couple of hours for another update. As of right now, the market is at a tough resistance. We will see if we hold at these levels, and then don't forget that the trend for the market has been kind of like slowing down in the daytime, then eventually bouncing at the end of the day. But I can't promise anything for now. We're just waiting to see what happens with the Michigan Consumer Sentiment data. So watch and see what the reaction is at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time today, and we'll see if we hold up or not. But just know that the market's looking pretty decent right now. The trend is still in the upwards direction, so we'll give it the time to develop, and we'll see how things go. I thank you for listening. I'll see you guys in a few hours, and peace out.